All right, so are you ready to dive into some country music today?
Oh, yeah. Always down for a little twang.
So we've got this press release about a new album, Ramblin Heart, from a band called the Townsend Ramblers.
Hmm. Interesting. A press release. All right. So that's how they're getting the word out, huh?
Exactly. And, press releases are always interesting because they're meant to grab your attention and make you want to hear more.
Right. Like a little sneak peek into the music.
Yeah, so let's see if we can figure out what they're going for.
Okay. Break it down.
Okay, well, right off the bat, they describe themselves as having a soulful and authentically roots-driven sound.
Okay. So playing up the traditional country vibe.
Yeah, and they also mentioned drawing inspiration from small-town America and life on the road.
Well, that's pretty standard country fare, isn't it? I mean, those are classic themes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But do you think they're just playing it safe, or do you think there's something more to it?
Hmm. Good question. I mean, there's been a lot of talk lately about country music going back to its roots.
Yeah, kind of like a resurgence of that traditional sound.
Right. So maybe they're just trying to ride that wave.
Or maybe they're trying to do something new with it.
Yeah. That's what we need to figure out. What makes them stand out?
Exactly. Every band wants to be unique, right?
Absolutely. So let's see what clues we can find in this press release.
Besides the album title itself, Ramblin Heart, which is definitely intriguing.
Hmm. Yeah. Lots to unpack there.
But one thing that jumps out at me is that they talk a lot about their fresh storytelling.
Oh, interesting. So they're emphasizing the lyrics and the narratives behind the music.
Yeah, and that's not always the focus for country bands. Sometimes it's more about the sound, the instruments.
Right. But it sounds like they're trying to connect with listeners on a more emotional level.
Yeah, and the press release uses some pretty vivid language to create that feeling.
Oh, yeah. Like what kind of language?
Well, they talk about a heartfelt journey, and harmonies meet raw emotion,
Mm.
even feels like a conversation around a fire.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So they're definitely painting a picture.
Yeah, it's like they're not just selling an album, they're selling an experience.
Right. And that's marketing 101, isn't it? Appeal to the emotions.
Exactly. So what do you think? Who are they trying to reach with this message?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Are they going for the hardcore country fans? The ones who love that traditional sound?
Or are they trying to broaden their appeal and maybe pull in some listeners who wouldn't normally listen to country?
Yeah, like maybe they're trying to bridge the gap between traditional and something a little bit more, well, soulful, as they put it.
Right, and that's interesting because they are using those classic country themes,
Yeah, but then they throw in these words like soulful and raw emotion.
which could definitely appeal to a wider audience.
Hmm, very clever, if they can pull it off.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that, but I'm definitely curious now.
Me too. Let's keep digging and see what else we can find out about these Townsend Ramblers.
Sounds good. All right, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and dive into some more details about the album.
All right, stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
So they actually mention a couple of songs from the album in the press release.
Oh, really? Which ones?
Yeah, one is called Backroads and Heartbeats.
Backroads and Heartbeats. Interesting.
And they describe it as having a reflective melody.
Okay. So maybe a bit more on the mellow side.
Yeah, maybe a slow song, something you can kind of sway to.
Yeah, like a classic country ballad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other song they mentioned is called Ramblin' Man Blues.
Ramblin' Man Blues. Now that sounds a bit more upbeat.
Yeah, they call it a spirited anthem.
Oh, so maybe something you can sing along to.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more rockin'.
Hmm. So it sounds like they're trying to show some variety on this album.
Yeah, a little something for everyone.
Right. Which makes sense if they're trying to appeal to a wider audience.
Exactly. And then there's another detail that really stood out to me.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
They recorded the album in Nashville.
Ah, Nashville, of course. The heart of country music.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So, they're not messing around.
Well, it definitely adds to their credibility. I mean, if you're a country band and you record in Nashville.
Yeah, it's like a stamp of approval.
But it's interesting, though, because Nashville has also become kind of a hub for commercial country music.
Yeah, the more pop-influenced stuff.
Right? So do you think recording in Nashville still guarantees authenticity?
It's a good question. I mean, some people might see it as a bit cliche.
Yeah, like they're playing it safe.
But then again, it's Nashville. There's so much history and tradition there.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's like walking that line between tradition and innovation.
Exactly. And that's where the whole fresh storytelling thing comes in.
Right, because even if they're recording in Nashville, if their stories are unique and engaging.
Yeah, that could set them apart.
Yeah, it's all about finding that balance.
All right, so we've talked about the sound, the stories, the Nashville connection. What else?
Oh, yeah, the tour.
The tour.
That's right.
They're hitting the road in October.
Okay, so they're taking the show on the road.
Yeah. To support the album.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're telling fans to check their website and social media for tour dates.
Okay, so they're building that anticipation.
Yeah, getting people excited.
Smart move. Got to keep the momentum going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Were you feeling it? Are you curious about this album now?
I have to admit, I am intrigued. I mean, they're definitely doing a good job of piquing my interest.
Yeah, they've got me hooked too. I want to hear what these Ramblin' Hearts are all about.
Yeah, but before we get too carried away,
Yeah.
let's take a step back and think about what really makes a country song resonate with us.
Oh, yeah, good point.
I mean, what is it that makes us connect with this music?
Yeah, what makes it special?
Yeah, because there's something about country music that just gets under your skin,
Yeah, it's like it speaks to a certain part of our soul.
Exactly. So what is it that makes it so powerful?
I mean, is it the sound? The instruments? That classic country twang?
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like that steel guitar crying out a melody.
Oh, yeah, or a good banjo breakdown.
Yeah, there's something about those sounds that just takes you back.
Right, like to a simpler time.
Yeah, like sitting on a porch swing on a summer night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe driving down a dusty road with the windows down.
Right, like those classic country music video scenes.
Exactly. But for me, I think it's more about the lyrics.
Oh, yeah. The stories they tell.
Yeah, I want to hear songs about real people, real experiences.
Right, like love and heartbreak.
Yeah, or life on the road.
Or just those everyday struggles that we all go through.
Exactly. And country music does that so well.
It's like they're singing about our lives.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so relatable, I think.
Right, because we've all been there. We've all felt those things.
Exactly. And going back to the Townsend Ramblers,
Yeah.
that title, Ramblin Heart.
What do you make of it?
Well, it makes me think about that feeling of wanderlust, that desire to explore, to see new places.
Yeah, like hitting the open road and seeing where it takes you.
Exactly. But I also think it's about more than just physical travel.
Oh, yeah. Like
Yeah.
what?
Like maybe it's also about that internal journey,
That's interesting.
like following your heart wherever it may lead.
Yeah, like even if it takes you off the beaten path.
Right. And sometimes that's the best way to go.
I like that. It's like a metaphor for life.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Like we're all on this journey and we're all just trying to figure it out as we go.
And maybe that's what the Townsend Ramblers are trying to say with this album.
Yeah, maybe they're inviting us to come along for the ride.
To listen to our own ramblin' hearts.
Yeah, and see where they take us.
So to our listener, I guess the question is,
Yeah.
are you ready to ramble?
Are you ready to listen to your heart
Mm-hmm.
and see where it leads you?
We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the world of music.
Until then, keep those ramblin' hearts beating.